I do kind of feel like mums are like left to their own devices. Like when you have a baby, everybody says to you, like older women, people that have had babies before, they're all like, oh, you know, you just figure it out like we did. Like we all had to figure it out, which is a fucking lie, because at the end of the day, we are now living in this day and age where everybody finishes high school. Lots of people go and get tertiary education, whether it's through TAFE or university, whatever. What does that mean? It means that it trains us up to be really good professional employees where things are structured and generally like very functional. You know, there's a set way of doing things, blah, blah, blah. Whereas back in the day, women weren't really doing that as much. Instead, they were actually way more surrounded by family, because at the end of the day, when you have a baby, you're having a family. Even if you're a single mum, that's your little family. And so, you know, I feel like back in the day, it was way more like when we had more of a community and people weren't as geographically separated, and like maybe even just separated through like way more broken families these days and stuff like that. Like I could even go on a rant about that. But, you know, now we're kind of like, I feel like back in the day, we used to be kind of more surrounded by other families. We'd be more surrounded by children. You know, we probably wouldn't finish high school. We'd probably actually finish school early to look after our little siblings, or just because like we knew, oh, you know, we're going to have a family anyway. This is just what we're going to do. And so we weren't so concerned about like our careers and stuff like that. And so then we used to, you know, be more than happy to like babysit the baby down the road and like, you know, bring them into our home. And we would actually firsthand see what other mums were doing in their day to day. We would see firsthand what it meant to like raise children. We would see firsthand how messy it was, and how, you know, seeing other mums was important, and like disciplining other children, blah, blah, blah. Not that I'm like talking about, you know, smacking your kids or whatever, but I just mean in general, we were way more like exposed to it. Whereas now I feel like it's all a big fucking fat lie, because now we see these beautiful, you know, newborn photos and the baby looks so sleepy and beautiful and whatever, which they are. Sometimes they are sleepy and beautiful and whatever. But I had 3 colicky girls who were very hard to settle, would not sleep unless held. And it was honestly so freaking hard. Sometimes Stevie wouldn't take a dummy, Molly wouldn't take a bottle. It was bloody hard work and took a lot of rocking, a lot of shushing, a lot of like late nights, you know, nights only getting a couple of hours sleep. I'm talking 1 to 2 hours sleep, because baby just would not go down in their cot, all those kinds of things. And I honestly was shocked. Like I was so shocked, and I really just felt like out on my own. And I'm not blaming my mum here, and I'm not blaming my mother-in-law or whatever. What I'm trying to say is, like, as a society, I feel like we kind of just say to everybody, it's so normalized. Like we just say to mums like, oh, you'll figure it out like everybody else did. But at the end of the day, now things are different, and we come into this thing and we're completely shocked by it all and how fucking hard it is. And I just feel like we're kind of being lied to. It's even like, you know, movies and Hollywood and stuff. You know, we watch things like Cheaper by the Dozen, which I watched the other week. And I'm like, it's such a big fucking fat lie, because it looks so smooth and nice and easy. They're like, oh, we had 2 kids, and then we had 3 kids, and then we had 5, and then we had 12, and things were great and la la la. Let's just think about the mum's perspective for a second. Even the fact that she had 3 or more children would have meant that all of her subsequent pregnancies were deemed as high risk. Just imagine the amount of medical appointments and everything she would have had to meet. Just imagine how hard on her body that would have been. Even if you carry well or whatever, like it seriously would have been so hard on her body, especially having multiple little children at home to deal with as well. So every time she went to an appointment or whatever, she would have had to like get out of work to get to the appointment, or even if she wasn't working, she would have had to rely on her husband's income. She would have had to find somebody to come and look after the other kids, or she would have taken the kids with her to the appointment, which would have been fucking nuts. And so I just feel like we're so being lied to. And then what can happen is we get to this place where we feel like, hang on a second, am I doing something wrong? Because everybody else seems to be like nailing this. Everybody in like society thinks that this just should be so easy and should come naturally, and like, oh, everybody else figured it out. Why am I not figuring it out? What is wrong with me that I'm not just like figuring this thing out, this whole mum thing out? And so I feel like my mums are kind of like you know, it can be so horrible for mums in that way, because then you get all the guilt, then you get all the shame, and you're like, I should be doing better. Why do I not know better? Where are my maternal instincts? Why are they not kicking in, helping me to know what to do next? You know, for me, it was so crazy when I had Stevie and she just didn't want to sleep unless being held, which, look, it's totally normal for a baby to have that. And like, you know, who doesn't want to sleep in their mum's arms after being like carried around in your you know, belly for so long? But yeah, and so what happened was I actually put off getting help from a sleep consultant or anything like that, because I honestly didn't want to sound stupid. I didn't want to sound like an idiot and not know what I was doing, because I just felt like everybody else knew what they were doing. So what was wrong with me? Like, why didn't I know what I was doing? But really, at the end of the day, now I've learned, you know, 3 kids in and being a mum for like 5 or coming up to 6 years, like, I have learned, no, it's actually not my fault. It's society's fault. Like, society makes us feel like it should just be so easy and should come naturally. So this is where I'm wanting to like talk about this stuff a little bit more. This is why I'm like jumping on a podcast and that kind of thing, because honestly, like, I hear it so much from mums that say like they're shocked to find out how fucking hard it is. And they're just usually just like, their own self is just usually pushed to the side while they try to like look after this little baby 24/7 all the time, and they try to like figure it out all the time. And the mums will tell you like a baby changes every couple of weeks, like sometimes quicker than that. And you know, one thing that you finally get into like a routine, and one thing that you try works, and then next minute it stops working, and then you're kind of like left in the lurch again. You're like, oh my God, what do I do now? And then, you know, what I found really hard as well was I would try to reach out for my mum's support, but not all the advice, but because I did learn a lot from my mum, but like a lot of it is outdated now, because we worry about SIDS and we have things like, you know, these hectic car seats and stuff like that. And so, you know, that stuff just wasn't around back then, or maybe it was like just coming out like in the 90s and that kind of thing. I found that really hard. I felt like I was out on my own just to figure this stuff out. And I do love where social media is going, because we talk about this stuff so much more. And there are sleep consultants and everything like that. But I just feel like where I want to really help mums is like, you kind of like left out on your own. You're left to your own devices, and then you kind of like lose yourself in the process, because you're so hyper focused on having this baby and looking after this baby, and maybe you're dealing with your pregnancy or whatever, and you just fully get like lost in this thing, and you kind of don't know what to do next. And it has taken me so much time and like tweaking and everything to get to a place where I'm like, okay, now I actually know how to be a mum and how to be a confident and happy and hot mum, you know, hot mum. Because, and this is where I wanted to talk about my idea, is that, you know, what I used to think was, let's take the hot mum at the playground. Like, what is the hot mum? As in like, and not like the best looking mum. I just mean the hot mum as in the confident, radiant, beaming mum who seems like she's just playing with her kids and she's having a good time. What is she doing that I am not doing? Like, how can I get myself to that point? And I really felt like all the mum advice that was out there was great, but it felt like, this is going to sound weird as well, it kind of felt like a piece of me, like I was getting old. You know, it felt like I had to become this like wholesome, I mean, it's not that I'm not wholesome, but it just felt like I had to become this like airy fairy, you know, mum, what do they call them? Trad wife, who was like, you know, baking from scratch for their children and whatever, and like doing the garden and blah, 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 which look, I do agree with, like, I think that's great, but I just want it to be in a way that's like, no, let's talk to the Gen Z mums, let's talk to the millennial Gen Z mums and beyond when that day comes, and like help us just feel like ourselves, we can be ourselves as a mother and not feel like we have to lose ourselves. Because yeah, I love a beautiful garden. Yeah, I love like homemade whatever, but like that's just not who I am at the core. Maybe sometimes I might do that. Like now I love baking from scratch and whatever with my kids, but it's kind of like it took time for me to come into this place. Like it wasn't so much after my first baby. It was actually like came out more after having my second and third babies, where I was like, hey, okay, hang on, like holy crap, how am I going to do this mum thing? and still feel like myself. Like, how am I going to do that? You know, how am I going to get out of this thing where I feel like it's so hard all the time and get to a place where I can kind of actually enjoy it? Like, yeah, it's hard work, but at the end of the day, this is my house too. This is my life too. And yeah, I am willing to put in the time, but like, I want to get to a place where I feel good about being a parent and being a mum. And like, I want my home to have an efficient system where I don't feel like I'm drowning, you know? And so what I wanted to do was like bring this thing called the hot mum era, because we've all heard of the hot girl walk. Okay. We've all heard about that, which when you look it up on Google is not actually just about like hot girls being on a walk, which kind of is where it came from. But it's similar to like the hot mum at playground. It's like, what is the hot girl on a walk doing? You know, she's got a lot of gratitude. She's mindful. Maybe she meditates. Maybe she journals. Maybe she takes time for herself, and she's got self-care like down to a T. And I kind of feel like it's the same thing with the hot mum era. I want to introduce this concept of like the hot mum era, where we can come into our own, and motherhood can actually be a good thing for us. We don't have to lose ourselves in motherhood. Instead, we can actually find ourselves in motherhood and not feel like we're just getting old and getting sensible and whatever. Because another thing that I see is these mums past that baby era, and they feel like, I think, you know, I've seen them, they come into this thing where they're like, you know, I'm going to go traveling again, and I'm going to wear whatever I fucking want again, and I'm going to do all this stuff again like I used to. And I just feel like that's because for so long there, they probably felt like they were just giving their all to their children and their babies, and they had lost themselves and they didn't know who they were. And so now they're almost like making up for lost time a little bit. Whereas I kind of, you know, I remember I had this moment where I actually Googled, when does it get easier with your children? Like, when does it get easier with a baby and with children? And someone in this forum was like, honestly, when they're six years old. And I was just like, are you freaking joking? Because I've got 3 of them. And so I was counting up the ages and everything. And I was like, that's going to be like in 10 years. So great. You're telling me I have to live like this for another 10 years. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. You know what I mean? And so like, you know, I had to start working against that and going, no, you know what? I'm not going to accept that. Yeah, there's hard times about toddlers. Yeah, there's hard things about a baby. Like, you're literally giving your physical body for this baby, being pregnant, looking after toddlers. Yeah, it's bloody hard. But like, I'm just not going to take that. I'm not going to settle for that. Like, instead, I'm going to be proactive and do things where, you know, around the home and stuff like that, and look after myself so that I don't feel like I have to just wait for things to get easier. I don't want things to completely fall apart before I go and like figure out who I am again and find myself. I want to do it now while my baby is a baby, and still be a good mom and not feel guilty like I'm, you know, not doing the right thing by my children, which is another thing I feel like these days we feel so guilty for putting ourselves first and doing things for ourselves. And I just feel like we're doing it on our own. We're doing it without a community now. We don't even have a second in the day. Like, that's what little kids are like. They literally take so much of your time, so much of your energy in your day, and they're so demanding that like you don't have a second. You don't even have a minute. And so it's kind of like, you know, this isn't about pretending like things are easy and that we can be this really easygoing hot mum. This is more about like, how can we, like, this is the reality we're working with here. How can we like help ourselves to get to a point where we feel good about ourselves again? We feel confident, we feel happy and radiant, like we're glowing. And yeah, that might not mean that we've got makeup on. You know, my toes are disgusting right now. I've only put on makeup today because I'm like filming this. But like, what I mean is from the inside out. Like, how can we feel good as a mum from the inside out and feel like the hot mum at the playground? Again, it's not about weight loss, and it's not about all that stuff, whatever. You like barking up the wrong tree here. Like, I'm the one who is not doing any of that stuff at the moment. Even today, I went on a walk for the first time in a while. But it's more just like, this is what I wish that I had. I wish I had, someone that I could like look to that had some resources for me. So that's why now I'm going to start off by doing like a free 7-day course to help you find yourself again as a mum. So just click the link below, and just if you click like subscribe or whatever to your emails, check your junk, it'll be in there. But this is the kind of thing that I want to put out there for mums, because as I was saying in the beginning, I feel like we are being lied to a little bit, and I feel like we just get lost. I feel like we're just being lost as a generation. I don't know if you guys have seen that reel on Instagram where that mum's like crying and saying that, but I really do. It so resonates with me. And I feel like when you go back to work, everyone's just like, oh, hello, welcome back to work. And no one understands this huge journey that you have gone on from being a non-pregnant or pregnant mum through to like now being a full-time mother. Like no one, I don't know, sees that or gets it, and even the women that maybe do, they either, it's been so long since they've gone through that, or they might just be doing what society, says we need to do and just sweep it under the rug and just, figure it out and get over it. Get on with it and just figure it out. And that's what I'm so sick of, because that's where mums feel so lost, and that's where they lose themselves and things break down. And so, yeah, that is right there. Like that little bit there is where I just want to start supporting mums and being that advocate for mums and that spokesperson, because we just need more of it. And I love where social media is at now, where we do show the reality. Like I love Indy Clinton and whatever. And we show the reality of like having toddlers and trying to put on makeup in the morning with like toddlers around. But I think it shouldn't end there. I feel like there should be more support, even in the form of like coaching, which maybe I might think about doing one day, like becoming like a mum coach or something. But even just some resources, even just like, like for me, I used to stress so much about like what to have for dinner every night. And then I came up with this really easy solution that was like, oh, easy. Thursday, Friday, barbecue night. Saturday, Mexican night. Monday, Tuesday, Asian night. So you have like stir fry. Like honestly, it can be that simple, but I just feel like, not everyone has the time or capacity, even just the brain, like, what's the word? Brain energy. I forget what the word is, but to think about that stuff and like come up with that stuff. So I just wanted this to be a place where we could have a bit more access to that. And then that way those things are just dealt with. We don't have to worry, spend the whole day thinking about what's for dinner. We don't have to sit in this whole feeling of like, oh God, I'm the one that's responsible for dinners for the rest of my life. Like, let's get out of that. Let's get out of that mentality. Let's make it easier for ourselves. Let's make our home life smoother and flow better. And then we can get to a place where we can say to our partner, hey, I'm just going to duck out for an hour and just like do my thing for a while, and that's a whole other episode I want to talk about, is like self-care versus treating ourselves. Because I feel like self-care equals treating yourself, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go get my nails done or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like in the newborn, phase, I was even struggling to brush my teeth every night because I had such a colicky baby, and then she would fall asleep in my arms, and then it would be like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then I'd have to like try to get her down and catch a wink of sleep. By the time it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, I had not thought about brushing my teeth. And so that's a part of like self-care there that was like missing for me. And even the way we struggled to like have a shower and everything like that every single day, things like that. I just feel like someone needs to be there to support that mum. And yeah, we've got great partners and great family or whatever, but I just feel like there is this normalization of like, oh, but that's just what it's like in the newborn phase. That's just what it's like. But then what ends up happening is those habits and those things carry on. They don't just stop there after the newborn phase. They keep going. And then you're like, holy crap, I actually am not in the habit of brushing my teeth every night now. Holy crap, I forgot to have a freaking shower today. I just forgot. Like I was having that so much this year with 3 kids. I was like, I just keep forgetting. I'm just like, oh crap, I actually didn't even have a shower today. It's like, no, I don't want that for mums, because that's when you feel crap. That's when you feel like you stink and you're sweating and you've got like this odor on you, and you've got, baby spit up. You've got all the things. You've been playing with glitter and glue or whatever with your toddlers. Like, no, I'm so sick of that. And even just like eating crap and stuff because you're just eating the leftovers of what your toddler's eating. Like, no, okay, sometimes yes, like maybe life's just busy, but like what strategies can we put in place so that that doesn't just always happen? Like, is there something that you can you can have while your kids are eating it? Or is there a way that we can like all eat dinners together and have some veggies there, have some, steamed broccoli or whatever? Like even the other day, I had started cutting out, screen time. We don't have iPads, but we have the TV on quite a lot because honestly, I was just surviving with 3 kids, like 2 toddlers pretty much and a baby. And so I'd rely on the TV a lot. But then the other day, Stevie started being quite rude to me. And I was like, you know what? It's actually not her. It's the stupid TV. It's because she's staring at the TV. She's not actually looking at me, making eye contact with me and asking me for things. She's just demanding things like, oh, hey, mum, while she's like watching the TV instead of like actually communicating with me as a person. So I was like, right, that's it. We're doing all of our meal times at the table. I'm so sick of it. You guys are going to help me set up the table. You're going to get whatever pretty dishes and plates and that you want. You're going to put them out. I don't even care. We're just going to do this together as a family. And guess what? Her manners just came out of nowhere. She's like, oh, can I have a glass of milk? Got her a glass of milk. Thanks, mummy. I was like, wow. Like who dis? You know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there because now I'm starting to get into like some more practical stuff. But I just wanted to have this, open up this conversation a little bit and like let you guys know what I'm thinking and like what I want to do with this channel and stuff, because I just really see it so much everywhere. And as soon as I talk to mums like at work and stuff, as soon as you get them actually talking, they are just all saying the same thing. They're like, honestly, I'm riddled with guilt every day. I find it so hard dropping off my child to daycare. All I'm thinking about is just trying to get them out the door and myself. I've barely got any time for myself. It's just insane. And I'm not even talking to mums who are like new, fresh mums. These are mums whose kids are like over 1 and 2 years old. So like that just shows to me that there's like, there's a population there that's not being accounted for, that's not being talked to in our society, that's not being looked after. This is where I get passionate about it, because I feel like there's so much wrong with our world at the moment. There's so much going on. And I just always feel like the source of so much of that stuff is people's childhoods. And who is responsible for people's childhoods? Mothers and fathers. Of course, I'm not going to deny that. It's both of them. And it's also other family members as well. But I just feel like at the end of the day, a lot gets thrown onto the mum. And, at the end of the day, she's usually the primary caregiver. She's the one that's, either breastfeeding or bottle feeding, whatever. She's dealing with all the things, firsthand. She's the number one boss bitch of the family. And so I just feel like mums need more care and support in those times. And it may not need to come from, like maybe it's going to work better if it doesn't come from their mum, where they have childhood traumas and whatever else. Or maybe it's going to work better if it doesn't come from a friend. Like I feel like sometimes you need that kind of third party person to understand you and get you. And it can be a bit private and it can be a bit like behind closed doors, because there is a lot of shame there around mum struggling and stuff. And sometimes it helps to talk to somebody that's anonymous, and you can feel a bit anonymous. You don't have to tell your friends and like tell all these people that you're struggling. Sometimes it can help to have that person that doesn't know you personally and isn't like friends with all of your friends and not family with all of your family. And so, and then you can get that support. You can get a bit of that support. I actually have been inspired because I've been on my YouTube a little bit lately and I've been watching other things out there. And there's actually this awesome mum that I love in America, and I get a weekly email from her, like a newsletter. And she sometimes like links her podcast episodes. And all I can say is, my God, she has helped me so much. I can't even begin to explain. Like it's just, and it's not even this like crazy hectic stuff. It's just simply talking about this stuff and providing a bit of a solution. Like for a while there, I was yelling a lot at my kids and just like snapping at them. And then she like put up this thing about 4 reasons why we yell, without any sense of like guilt shaming or anything like that. And it really helped me so much to go, oh, now I actually know why I'm yelling. It's because I feel like I'm on my last leg. It's because I feel like they're just not listening. And this is the only way they're going to listen, or blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it just helped me so much. And so I kind of want to be that person a little bit, because I just feel like there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more of that out there. So anyway, I'm going to leave my rant there. And I'm just super excited to bring you guys more of this stuff, because I don't know. I just feel like we all fucking need to talk about it. And I feel it makes me passionate because every time I see like one of those newborn photo shoots or whatever, which look, I'm not dissing, like they're obviously beautiful, and I kind of wish that I actually did them with mine, even though my babies were colicky and they would not have stayed still like that. But I'm not dissing it, but I'm just saying like, I just want to rewrite the narrative a little bit. I want to clear things up for people in society and, you know, be that person for mums that gets it and knows what they need and can see them. So yeah, anyway, thanks guys if you're still here listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.